Well, I just want to start by saying that I think when we all look at the word innovation, like our first initial impression before we dive into the word is like bold creation. So, when Rachel asked me to do this talk, she's like, "Oh, innovation's perfect for Golden Door." And I'm like, "I'm not innovative." That's my first impression because I'm thinking robots, space exploration, I'm thinking of all these bold things. And so I'm not thinking Golden Door is innovative. But when we started picking apart the word and looking at the definition, um, I was like, wow, Golden Door is innovative because I've been in practice for 12 years, and I was in practice for 6 when I started Golden Door. I worked at 8 different clinics. When you first start as an acupuncturist, you have to work multiple different jobs to make ends meet. So I had many different experiences that carved Golden Door. So there were things that I loved at places and things that I didn't love, and I took all of that into this. And then another part of innovation is like, one of the things I'll talk about is there's so much emotion that can go into making changes. So literally in 2014, I went on my first date with my husband and we started talking about goals. And I was like, I want to open a clinic one day. So I said that in 2014 and it didn't happen until 2020. So I think that internal process of innovation is there. And, sometimes it takes longer than we think. But diving into the word, I was like, oh my gosh, not only am I innovative, but everyone's innovative. And I love that you did an intro just talking about like the mundane little things in life that we can do to innovate, because we are all innovative. And Albert Einstein, like the most innovative person probably in history, said imagination is more important than knowledge. And I think that's really true with innovation. So on like pinpointing that I'm innovative and all of you are innovative, I had to say that I think you're all here to innovate. And I can tell you 3 other reasons why I think that. So, one, we're at the end of the year, at which Rachel touched on. So we're naturally more reflective this time of year. We're all looking at our year end and thinking, what went well and what didn't go well? What do I want to change for next year? And even if we don't want to do that, the world forces us to. Like we have the Wrapped on Spotify, we have Facebook memories for the year. We have all these things that tell us to look back at the year. And so even if we kind of don't want to, we end up kind of reflecting on our past year and thinking, what am I going to do differently next year? Then also in Chinese medicine, I don't know if you guys knew that this was the year of the wood snake. So the snake, the year of the snake is all about reflection, shedding old habits, internal processing, spiritual growth. So it's very much about transforming something from the inside. And then 2026 is the year of the fire horse. So we're going from the snake, internal processing, to fire horse. And the fire horse is all about expansion, boldness, freedom, courage. So it's like so cool to see how it goes from this inward to this outward process from 25 to 26. And then also, we are coming up to a Saturn-Neptune conjunction in February. You guys probably don't know a lot about astrology. So I'll explain a little bit of it because I think everyone's feeling it a little bit. So first, the last Saturn-Neptune conjunction, it happens about every 36 years, and the last one that happened on that day, the Berlin Wall fell. Because when Saturn and Neptune get close together, the themes that happen are dissolving old structures. So I think we can all feel that politically, for one, right? This dance has been happening for the past 3 years, and like a lot of political structures are changing. Then culturally, we see a lot of corporations restructuring and firing people. And then I think if we all reflect internally, we can see in our life or in a friend's life, in our family member's life, these things that are changing. It's kind of like these chess pieces are moving, right? for a new chapter to start. I'll say one other thing that's kind of interesting about the Saturn-Neptune conjunction is that it's happening at a world point, and the last time a big conjunction happened at a world point was March of 2020. So we had some pretty big conjunctions that happened in March, and then we had COVID. And when we all reflect back on COVID, there are two things. One, we were going through it and we had no idea how big it was. You know, we all said, oh, we're going to lock down for 3 weeks. We had no idea it would change our lives for 2 years. And then we had no idea that 5 years later, it would be a timestamp for everything. You know, I was just talking to my mom like last week and I said like, oh, didn't you guys go to, visit Aunt Candy a couple years ago? And she's like, no, that was 2019 because it was the year before COVID. Like we all have that timestamp in our head. So we're coming up to another year that's going to be a timestamp and we don't know what it's going to look like, but I think we can all feel that energy a little bit. And so I just wanted to touch on that before, we break apart the word. And innovation is the process of creating something new out of something that already exists. It's seeing possibilities over people overlook. It's solving problems in fresh ways, making life systems or experiences better, and staying adaptable as conditions evolve. And I broke innovation down into 4 steps because whenever I break things down into steps, I'm like, oh my God, I can totally do this, So the 4 steps are curiosity, creativity, experimentation, and adaptability. So going into the first step is curiosity, and this is discovering the opportunity. This is identifying what can be simplified, improved. We're seeing what's wrong, and we're starting, and maybe what was wrong has been wrong for a while. So I'll give you an example. Maybe you got a job that you love, and it's always been aligned with your values. And then 1 year it gets overwhelming and stressful. You're like, that's okay. This is my job. 2nd year, it still stays overwhelming and stressful. You're like, okay, I can power through this. But then you get to the 3rd year and you think, is this really worth it? Is this aligning with me anymore? So sometimes when we see something that is not working anymore, we get emotional about it. We get judgmental, we get critical, we get dysregulated, we get stressed out. And I think that this is the hardest step in innovation, is we're seeing what's wrong and we have to take a step out, look at it from an outside point of view. But the thing is, it's hard because it's wrong. It's not going well. And sometimes it can be something deeply personal, like maybe a relationship is feeling more shallow or a relationship is feeling more toxic. So you got to step out and think, is there a way I can change this? Can I communicate better? Or is this something I need to get rid of? I'm a firm believer that being grounded is really important in this process. And let's face it, like we all work a lot. Then we have our phones and then we have our health, so we got to make sure to drink water and eat healthy, and we don't have the time. So it's like being grounded is very difficult in today's world. We're all in this rat race. Step 2 is the creativity, and that's where you've kind of gotten past step 1. You've established something's wrong and you want to change it. So then you start imagining the possibilities. You're brainstorming, and sometimes there can be multiple solutions. So I think step 2 can be pretty overwhelming. Or if you don't like the idea of change, once you start thinking about change, again, you're getting emotional. Judgment and criticism are coming into place because you're like, oh my God, I got to change this, and it's going to be so much work. So I thought we would stop after step 1 and step 2 and do a grounding practice today. So today is actually a new moon in Sagittarius. And so a new moon is where you plant a seed. It's a new cycle. And whenever there's a new moon, the sun and the moon are close together, and your sun, it represents your purpose and your moon represents your emotions. So when they're close together, you can maybe see clearly some of your purpose that you're here. And then Neptune is conjunct that as well, which is also about our purpose in life. So with these three planets close together, I thought a meditation would be really helpful in taking apart what you want to innovate, because I know you all have an idea of what you want to innovate. But I wanted to kind of touch on meditation before we start. Do you guys meditate?
Have, not a regular practice.
It's hard. It's really hard. I think that's another thing when we add it to our plate, we feel a little overwhelmed by it. So I thought I would walk you guys through like a guided visualization. And first I'll say that as you're going through this meditation, and I give you prompts, just use your creativity. And even in moments you might think like, oh my gosh, am I making this up? Yes, you are making it up, and go with it. Two, whenever you meditate, your mind is that monkey mind. So there are going to be moments where I'm like, imagine yourself in a room and then you're going to be like, oh, and then I got to go pick up my son today. Your mind is going to do that. And every time it does, just bring yourself back. Don't judge yourself for thinking about your to-do list or what you have to buy for next week. Just bring yourself back. And then you guys have all heard of clairvoyance. So we all have intuition, and there are actually three clairs. There's clairvoyance, clairaudience, and clairsentience. So clairvoyance is when you see something. Clairaudience is when you hear something, and clairsentience is when you just know something. So don't put a preconceived notion of seeing a particular thing or hearing a particular thing. You may just know as you're doing this meditation. And I'll just give you like an example. So part of my acupuncture practice is I do visceral manipulation, where I place my hands on their abdomen. And if someone has digestive issues, sometimes I do have clairvoyance. So I put my hands on their stomach and I see onions and garlic, and I'm like, you're eating too much onions and garlic. You have to scale back. Or sometimes I put my hands on their stomach and I'll think diaphragm, and then I'll talk to them about breathing. So there's like a knowing that comes where I'm just like, oh, it's their diaphragm. So I would say don't question what comes up, because it may be clairsentience. So I'll have you guys close your eyes and uncross your legs. I don't know if we want to dim the lights or no.
We can for this part if you would like to.
But
Keeping it in is pretty good for meditation.
You guys feel okay with the lights, or?
I'll close my eyes.
Okay. So I'll have you close your eyes and take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And just because we've all had a pretty hectic week, I'll have you check in with your shoulders, your jaw, your neck. Bring your shoulders down if they're up near your ears. Relax your jaw if you're tightening, if you're clenching. If the tongue is on the roof of your mouth, let it drop. Take one more deep inhale through the nose and out through the mouth. And then take a moment to check in with your brow, which is where your third eye is. Relax your brow if you're holding tension there. If you have to-do lists or anything you're thinking about, just take your hand and imagine wiping that away. Then bring your attention down to your feet and imagine tree roots growing out from your feet into the ground. And I'll have you take a deep inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale through the nose, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then just go back to your natural breathing. And I want you to imagine a gold light surrounding your body. This gold light is there to protect you. It comes from all things that are good and come from light and love. This gold orb will be surrounding you through this meditation. And I want you to imagine yourself in a field. I want you to look up at the sky, take note of any animals or birds, feel the wind. Take a breath in, feel the crisp air. This field can be filled with flowers, corn. Take a look around. Now, off in the distance, you see a road, so walk through the field to the road. This road is a gravel road, so once you hit the gravel road, as you're walking, hear the gravel underneath your feet. Walk down this road to a gate. This gate can be wooden, it can be metal, whatever you imagine. Walk towards the gate, and as you open the gate, what noise does it make? As you walk through the gate, you see a garden in front of you. Garden's filled with plants, veggies. There's a tree off to the left side. And when you turn to your right, you see another door. Take a moment to walk through your garden to that door. That door on the right side will be either to a castle, a building, or a hill underground. Go over to the door, then open the door, and you see a set of staircase. Go down the staircase, 20, 19, 18, keep going down, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You've entered a room. There's a chair off to the right side. This room is your room. It can look any way you want. You can sit in the chair and have a conversation with someone or explore the room for a few minutes. I'm going to be quiet to let you do so. And take one more minute to finish up your exploration of the room. And I'm going to give you 3 questions to think about while you're in this room. 1, What is an outdated belief I'm ready to question? What feels stuck and I would like to be creative with? If anything were possible, what bold idea would I pursue this year? Where in my life do I feel restricted, and what does freedom look like? Take one more minute to finish up the room, and I'll have you head up the stairs. Go through the door. Stop by the garden if you need to. Go out the gate. Walk down the gravel road. Into the field. Look down at your feet and feel your feet back on the floor here. Take one more deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Did you guys want to take a minute to write anything down? No pressure.
One of the questions around that.
Yeah. Next step is experimentation. And this is where you're testing the idea. And I think the biggest part of this is just remembering everything is data. So you put an idea out there, whether it's big or small, doesn't matter if it fails, it's data. And then step 4 is adaptability. What's working and what's not working, bringing yourself back to step 1. And I thought I would tell you guys that I told you how I went on my first date, talked about opening this place. This was not the first time I opened a business. This is the first time I opened a business with people underneath me and a whole bunch of rooms. As an acupuncturist, you establish yourself as an LLC. So there have been times where I have started a business myself. One of the first times I started just me. I rented 2 rooms, and I felt after 8 months incredibly lonely. So that's why I wanted to work with other people. And that's what took me so long to make this, because it was like, wow, I'm going to have to save up and be really ready for something like this. I also, after 1 year of being in business by myself, I looked at my tax returns and I was like, this sucks. So, I evolved, I changed, I ended up working for someone else that really kind of mentored me for a really long time. And they really helped shape a lot of my ideas for here. And so then in 2020, between February 20th and March 5th of 2020 is when I did all of the finalizing of my contract for Golden Door. And then what happened in the middle of March after that. Yeah. And if I was into astrology then, I don't know if I would have done this. So the universe really saved me, I'm glad I just went in doing what my heart wanted to do, not overthinking it. But that was a year of pivot. That was me adapting because I finalized everything. COVID hit. The landlord actually said, "Do you still want to do this?" And I couldn't imagine myself saying no, I couldn't back down. It literally took, even though it took 2 weeks to finalize the contract, I found this place in December of 19. So I was literally getting loans, coming and looking at this place 5 times. We had to build out some walls upstairs. So I didn't want to go backwards, So everything got put on hold. We went into lockdown. We all thought it'd be a couple weeks, right? And so I pretty much stayed at home until June. Construction again started in May here, and I didn't open till August. So it's supposed to open like April 1st or something, and it ended up being August. And then, a lot of people that were going to join with me didn't, because a lot of people, first of all, didn't know. A lot of people were scared. We didn't, a lot of people had older family members at home, or people just changed their lives at that point. So literally there were supposed to be like 6 of us, and it ended up being 3, then 4 by the end of 2020. And it was like 4 of us in this big building, like 2 people on the bottom floor, 2 people on the top floor. Eye goggles, masks, I usually see 2 people an hour. I was seeing 1 person every 15 minutes. I was here, when I came into work, I was here for 12 hours, and then I'd go home and take off all my clothes, before, and change before I would and go shower, because we were all scared, right? So that was a year of pivot, and a lot changed. But that word pivot was introduced to me by my business coach, and it's like the word that I've just brought in with me for these past 5 years, is that anytime something goes wrong, internally, I'm like, okay, time to pivot. And then, I go to step 1, and I'm honestly kind of freaking out, even though I know something's got to change. So yeah. So, the last thing I wanted to do is, I mentioned how this is a new moon. This is actually the last new moon of the year. Obviously, we know that because it's December. So I wanted everyone to be bold, and I'm going to give you guys 2 prompts. I want you guys to share what you want to innovate. And if you want to be as vague as possible, that's fine. Or you can share more details. Or if you don't feel comfortable, you can also share maybe a little of your meditation, like what surprised you or what you saw, if you feel comfortable. So on this new moon, I'm going to ask you guys to be bold and say it out loud, because that is telling the universe you're ready. So who wants to start?
The thing that, I'll first just do a little bit of what my room was like. So my ideal usually is, by myself, quiet, nature. So when I first opened the room, and we said, this is your room, it can be however you want. It was like a moss floor with cozy blankets in a little circle, and I got in a little nook, and I had my book, and just like this cozy indoor room. And then I noticed just people, I think because we're in a circle, people were kind of around the perimeter, and they kind of started coming in. And I realized I'm actually happier with people here. I'm talking, and they're talking, and different things are happening. So when you're talking about what I want to innovate, which I've been preparing for this and it never came up, but I think the meditation helped bring it up in your talk. But just that I want to be more welcoming for more people.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need to be scared. A lot of times, sometimes an interaction doesn't go quite how I thought it did, or I had a recent thing where I thought I was making progress, and wow, we broke some ground here, and I thought it was like a nice thing we were having, and then he hit on me. So it wasn't like oh, okay, I thought we were doing something and we're not. Or it wasn't what I thought. So, no, I'm married and married, so. But just that I don't have to be scared of those things, even when they come up and it's uncomfortable, I have to say, no, thank you. That discomfort is worth the people in my life. But the what you were talking about, you have to look at it, and I don't like it, and I don't want to, but
Yeah.
It takes work.
Yeah.
And this is some of the work, being in a safe space with people. But yeah, that's what I want to do.
Love that. Mm-hmm.
And Creative Mornings has been a good step in that direction.
Love that. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Walking through the steps in my mind, everything you were saying was aligning with what is going on in my career, I mean, year 3, it was exactly what you were saying. And so in my mind, I'm like, you know what, I'm at this crux where I have these very pivotal meetings. And so I've been thinking, about the work, and then when the guided meditation, as I was entering into the room, you said there's a chair on the left, and I went to the right, and there was 2 chairs, and I saw this chair, and then you said a conversation, I saw my mom pop up, and I don't have a relationship with her, and so it was weird, because I was like, why is she here? And yeah, it was weird, because I was like thinking work, and then I was like, okay, let me go look around the room, and nothing was work related. My mom's still sitting there, so I don't know what that means. But yeah, I think it's interesting. So that was moving.
Yeah, I love that. Maybe you need to quiet quit and focus on the rest of your life. Maybe that's the message. But yeah, I would encourage you to dive deep into that, because there's obviously some messages there for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Thank you for sharing. That's so
Yeah.
funny to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
I didn't think I would cry. It's
Yeah.
okay. It was just weird. I was like, why are you here?
Hey, I'm
I'm
crying
the
too.
person I want to talk
She
to.
cries in the room, I'm crying too, so.
Did you ask her, by the way? Or were you just kind of like, why are you here? And
I didn't. I just was avoiding the share.
yeah.
Other side of the room. And then my logical brain was like, she said to look left, and I looked right, and my mom's in the right chair.
Hmm.
And so that was unexpected. And I was like, well, let me see what else is in my room before I go sit down.
Yeah. Well, you can always go back to that room. I gave you guys that meditation so you can go back to that room. Now that you've created it, it's there for you.
Yeah.
Every time you sit down, just making sure to have some type of protection around you, like I did the gold orb today, doing a prayer if that feels comfortable or something like that, but asking for that and going back to that room.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I feel silly after hearing what her deep message was, but my field I saw was a Wizard of Oz field. But then, as you said, gravel. I'm like, well, no, it's Yellow Brick Road. But anyway, I went to gravel. And I followed your directions, and I saw a red door, went down the steps, and then I also saw a chair on the right for some reason, and it was the castle renovation
Mhm.
that was on HGTV. That room that they redid, because I'm into flipping houses, and then my mind just went to that. Like, oh, I would paint this way, and I
Cool.
wish I had something deeper, like what she did. That's very good. But
Maybe you're getting the message that fills you up and you need to do more of that.
I started in 2020 when everything was closed down. To the school, I knew it'd be more than 2 weeks because they had me help the kids put all their belongings in the locker in a garbage bag, and their parents came and picked them up. So then I thought, this is serious.
Yeah.
And it was. So, and you got me more interested in astrology. I have a few books at home, but I haven't revisited them in a long time, so maybe it's time to look at those again.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing.
I'll go. Okay, so my room was white, pristine, uncluttered. There was this, I think it was a Barcelona chair that was off to the side. There were well-placed accents of white caramel colored wood grain, a little bit like the slat walls, but not completely. And then, but there were pops of bright pink and Kelly green, maybe a little bit of navy blue and yellow in there. So, I'm not really sure what that means other than I'm looking to simplify my life, and I have been looking to simplify my life in many ways. I mean, we moved here 7 years ago. We downsized significantly, but then over 7 years we let stuff. And I'm also I'm in this career pivot. And after working 20 years for myself, by myself, in marketing and graphic design, and my biggest client brought everything in-house in January of 2024. And I wasn't local, or I would have been hired on. But it was a blessing. And so I've been recovering from burnout. I spent the last year getting my nutritional therapy certification because that is definitely a passion of mine. So now I'm at this point of which direction do I take it? I miss some of the graphic design and marketing. But at the same time, the health is very, very important to me. I've seen the power of nutrition and what it can do for people. So it got my son off of a medication that billed our insurance $20,000 every 8 weeks. So, and that's not a guarantee. It's just I've seen the power of what it can do. So I'm kind of at this point of where do I go? And at the same time, like you discovered you didn't necessarily want to work for yourself, by yourself. I'm kind of tired of being on an island by myself.
Yeah.
You know, it worked when my kids were little and I got to raise my kids, but they're now in college. So I can do anything. So anyway, that's where, you know, my room was uncluttered and where do I go?
That's great.
Not as moving as.
No, you're so good.
Thanks for sharing, Wendy.
It's so interesting. I'm like, the rooms are so different when you're explaining. I had like a dark, wet, like room under a castle. I don't know why you guys are like mossy as
Unfortunately, that's the first on you, like apple thing.
I was like in this nice basement level of a castle.
Mine's in a castle too.
Oh.
Even sometimes when I go in a hill, it just ends up being like this castle-like room. And sometimes I have this woman that comes and always brings me tea, and she says, "Drink your tea, dear. You're not drinking enough." You know, like she's like this old grandma. She's like, "Take care of yourself." I'm like, "Yes, thank you. I needed to hear that." You know.
I feel like my room, I'm not feeling my best, so I have a headache. So it just was nice to close my eyes. And I feel like I didn't do a very good job of the meditation because I'm like, I don't remember much about my room or any of the problems. But I do remember being like very light. There were lots of windows. It was very clear and open.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I gave you guys that tool of meditation to do at home if you'd like. And then, you know, part of the services here at Golden Door, like I always term it as like self-care, but really these are all practices here at Golden Door that get you grounded in your body. And you don't have to come to Golden Door. I'm not trying to like sell you into Golden Door, but acupuncture, massage, talk therapy, that's where you're getting grounded in your body, going outside, talking to someone else who's maybe a total stranger, but sometimes talking to somebody else who's a stranger for 10 minutes makes you feel better. Laying on the table, feeling, you know, your muscles get worked on. These are the kind of things that like get you out of here when you're in here and gets you back in here. And that's where the magic happens. And I thought I'd just close by saying innovation isn't a one-time idea. When we stay curious, we see opportunity. When we create, we open new pathways. When we experiment, we learn faster. And when we adapt, we stay relevant.